Welcome to the Vine Resources Podcast Show with your host, David Lawrence.
Welcome to another edition of the Vine Resources Podcast Show. I'm absolutely delighted today to have with us Eran Shir. Eran is the co-founder and CEO of Nexar Inc. Eran, thanks very much for joining us on the podcast.
Happy to be here.
Eran, why don't you share with our listeners a little bit more about yourself and who Nexar are if they haven't heard of the company?
Okay, sure. Happy to. So basically, I'm a failed physicist. I spent the 90s doing black holes and then complex systems. And then against the wishes of my thesis advisor, I left to do startups and have done a number of them. I sold my last startup to a company called Yahoo that you may have heard of, and then spent a few years there. Following that, started Nexar with my now co-founder and then boss at Yahoo, Bruno Fernandez-Ruiz. So that's about me. With regard to Nexar, basically what we try to do at Nexar is to build a network of vehicles powered by cameras, powered by AI, deployed in different cities across the world to predict and prevent collisions and other dangerous situations. Right? Our basic premise starting Nexar was that today technologies that aim to protect people are focused on the last 1 or 2 seconds before the collision because that's their line of sight. And because each car is basically just an individual on the road. And if we'll be able to network all of these vehicles in real time, then one vehicle would be able to contribute data to other vehicles behind her, etc. We will be able to, through that, extend that time from 1 or 2 seconds to 10 and 20 and seconds and even a minute or two. And that will create a better chance of actually predicting and preventing dangerous situations on the road.
Brilliant. And Eran, before we just spoke I actually was in Las Vegas at the InsurTech, which is how I came about your organization and met some of your team there, which was fantastic to see a demo. And then I was in New York a few weeks later, and I was sitting in the back of a taxi in a cab there, and actually one of your users, your customers in an Uber, was demonstrating to me how it worked, and I thought he was really positive about it, and hopefully I'm sure you're seeing that it should reduce insurance premiums as well. Is that feeding through to people like that?
Yeah, definitely. Already now, users that use Nexar save a significant amount of money on their insurance. We have Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, etc., that are saving hundreds of dollars a year for joining Nexar and the Nexar network. But this is just the beginning, right? The premise of helping you financially is definitely a good place to start. But really, what we are after is the impact on your daily life, on your driving, on the risk of the road, and in general on how the city as a whole manages the transportation challenges that it has.
And I know you're growing quickly. You've got over 100 people in Tel Aviv, where we're doing this today from, and your team's in the US. I think most of them based in New York.
Yeah, most of our team is in Tel Aviv indeed, and we do have a team in New York to service the US market, which is our primary market.
Fantastic. Right. Thank you for that, Eran. We're going to jump into the questions if that's okay. Can you share now, obviously with a growing business and the day-to-day changes, what a typical day in the business looks like for you?
Sure. So typically I dedicate the first half of the day to product across our entire platform. This is both the product related to our driver experience and all of the insights and the value that we're trying to bring to drivers, but also to the data products that we are providing to cities and to mapping companies. The things like the Nexar Live Map that gives you like minute by minute visualization of the city. All of these kind of things constitute sort of the first part of my day, and then it depends on the day of the week. Some days of the week are very internal company focused, where I'm spending time with the team, with my team, and my exec team, as well as other specific teams that are working on projects that matter to me, and a lot of my time in most days have to do with externally facing engagements, working with partners, with customers, conferences, etc. What I make sure to always keep in my daily routine is enough time for reading and enough time for writing. These are things that it's really hard to make time for them if you're not being proactive about it. So typically in the morning, before I even start my day, I have a whole kind of set of slots, a strip of slots that are focused on reading and writing, and we have a whole process on basically making sure that I'm reading the things that I need to read, and I'm writing the things that I'm supposed to write. In general, I see a CEO as a function that is very service oriented. I think of it like a plumber. In a sense of the day, my goal in life is to unlock bottlenecks, to increase the velocity of the team as a whole, and to make decisions so that people are not stuck waiting for a decision. So I'm very kind of point operated in that sense, right? Like if something comes up where something is stuck and I need to jump in order to unstuck it, that becomes my top priority, because that's leverage, right? Like if 3 people are waiting half a day for me to do something or say something, that's a day and a half of work for the company that has been lost.
Yep, understood. Can you name perhaps someone who's had an impact on you as a leader, and how have they influenced your way of working?
For sure, there have been a few, but I think the person that impacted the most on me as a leader is my mentor, my oldest mentor. His name is Bob Asher. He's now over 90 years old, and he is from Chicago. He's the guy that actually built my high school. So donated the money as well as got basically all the who's and who's of the U.S. philanthropy to contribute to it, and we've been engaged or have been friends for probably 30 years now, 25 years. And I continue to learn from him on how to lead, how to get people aligned and moving in the same direction, and in particular, how to go big. I think this is something that sometimes we're missing. When we are too modest in our imagination of what's possible, how the world can be changed. I think that there's a lot that can be done today that that people are not doing because they are too afraid, or they are worried that they won't succeed, and all these kind of self-imposing limitations rather than limitations that are coming from the outside world.
Mm-hmm. What do you do from the top then within a growing business, particularly to keep your employees engaged?
I think in this day and age, the number one thing to keep employees engaged, for me, the number one strategy is very simple: is to build something that matters, to actually have a mission that people care about, that people want to associate themselves, associate their personal brand, associate their time with that mission. And I think that is that is important for me. Like, I wanted to associate my time with a mission that I will feel good waking up every morning doing, and I think that's true for everyone at Nexar and for many people outside it. So that's I think the first tool. I think the second tool that we employ is transparency, like really deep transparency. We try to be as transparent as possible. We try to communicate in as openly as possible. We have weekly company meetings. We share all of our board materials with everyone in the company. We trust them with sensitive information that people might be afraid that it might leak and get to the press, etc. And we put our trust in our team, and I think that people will communicate to that and respect it.
Fantastic. What do you think though in this fast-moving world we're in now? What's the biggest challenge facing business leaders?
So I think that the biggest challenge is the rate of change. I think that is the most important thing, and I'm on the record on that. I wrote 5 years ago. I wrote a blog post about it called "No Room Left in the Middle," talking about the unique challenges of our era compared to 100 years ago. Because one of the interesting things is that 100 years ago, the revolutions, the technological revolutions, were just as big. Actually, many will say bigger. The laundry machine liberated all of women. Cars made a huge impact, and I can go on and on. Washing hands made a huge impact. But the difference was that it was okay for change to happen over a course of a generation, actually over a course of 40 years. And I think what's happening now is the changes are not necessarily more important, but they are much faster. And now you cannot wait a generation to adapt to the change in reality, the change in the technological landscape or the societal landscape. And I think that creates a lot of the angst in society and a lot of the challenges for business leaders.
I mean, that's not going to get any slower. It's not going to reverse. What's that going to do to the next generation of business leaders, do you think then?
I think that like I wrote there, I think that at the end of the day, what will happen is that there will be only two kinds of companies. There will be either really, really large companies or startups. There will be nothing in the middle. And I think that what comes out of it is that entrepreneurship won't be something that only a small portion of people are doing, but actually it's going to be what a major part of people are educated and brought up to become. I think that will be a dramatic change that we'll see over the next generation. It's about agility, it's about adaptiveness, and it's about willingness to fail and keep on going.
Fantastic. Eran, what's the best piece of business advice you've ever been given?
I think the best advice, business or otherwise, that I've ever received or I've been given is to listen. To try to listen. It's really, really hard for people to listen. It's really, really hard for someone like myself to actually wait and listen, and not listen in the way of I'm being polite, I'm just waiting for you to finish your words so I can kind of go with my rebuttal, but actually try to build this empathy of asking, why are you saying what you're saying, where are you coming from, and how what you're saying impacts my point of view. I think that is basically the superpower for many types of professions and for human interaction in general. Definitely for business and for business leadership.
Tell me a little bit about what excites you right now in your industry.
Well, what should I begin? It's like literally the greatest theme park I've ever been involved in, right? And I've been involved in a few. What excites me about it? First of all, what excites me about it is that the change that the transportation and mobility industry is going through is actually super important. It actually matters, and it's going to have a huge lasting impact on each and every one of us. Right? Like I used to say that a bit with a laugh that in the first 20 years of the internet, we kind of solved all the easy problems, right? Like how to optimize e-commerce and how to search documents and how to do advertising well, et cetera. But now we're starting to get into the hard problems, the problems that require to dive into industries that are heavily regulated, that actually matter to everyone, right? Like if it's transportation, in my case, if it's health and medicine, if it's agriculture, things that actually impact our life in a fundamental way. So that is the first thing that excites me about it. The second thing that excites me about it is that there's so much opportunity right now. Like if you think about it for a second, in mobility, in transportation, this is an industry that is worth something like $3 to $5 trillion, and for probably in the next couple of decades, 30-50% of that money will change hands, and that's like an opportunity over a generation. Those don't come often. So that's on the global scale. Particularly in my case, in what we do, I'm just excited from being able to help people in a very granular fashion, right? When I see that some lowly Uber driver that has, $50 to his name. We managed to save the day for him. That's something that really gives me a lot of joy.
Just touching on that, I'd love to know a little bit, obviously, what excites you. I'm just curious, how you are looking to. Are you looking to bring this to the UK, to Europe? Is there issues around GDPR and data, and have you overcome those issues or challenges?
Yes. So first of all, we are GDPR compliant since May of last year, since GDPR was introduced, and we have invested a lot in anonymization and in data compliance and data ownership, et cetera, et cetera. So no problem there. We actually are starting to make our first move into the UK. It's still, very small, but we definitely are looking to expand next year to other markets.
Brilliant. And I know you had the live map, and if people don't know what that is, and I think it's coming to mobile, or it may already be there. Can you just share a little bit about Nexar Live Map and how that's working with Street View?
Yes. So the Nexar Live Map is basically the public version of our smart city platform, CityStream. And what the Live Map does, and if you want to try it out, just go to getnexar.com/live, is to take you and give you an experience similar to Google Street View, only from 5 minutes ago, right? So you can browse Manhattan, New York City, etc., as it is 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, an hour ago, not a year ago. So it brings this live experience of immersion into a certain location, a certain city. Obviously, we're taking care of, again, anonymization. We blur faces, we eliminate license plates, we do all this kind of stuff to make it safe and do it right. But it still has so much power when you want to see, from the state of traffic on the FDR to whether it's raining now in Central Park to actually what's going on in some grand places like Times Square, etc. It's just great fun.
You've talked a little bit earlier about the things that you do to engage your employees. What about well-being, and how have you thought about how to improve employees' well-being within the organization?
So what we're trying to do is to do it as much as possible bottom up. So we do a lot of experiments, and basically what sticks. I, for example, personally go to with a few of the other employees go to our Pilates class. For example, it's important for me as I get older to take care of my back. And there are yoga classes. There are other things that people are doing. So that's on that level. But I think the more important aspect of well-being is giving people the ownership of basically making the right calls for themselves on how they spend their time. At the end of the day, startup land is pretty stressful, and everyone has deadlines. Everyone has important thing they want to achieve, and it is not like an industry you want to get into if all you're interested in is to spend your days with zero stress, moving paper from one side of the desk to another. But it doesn't mean that it needs to be a crazy experience, right? At the end of the day, we try to give a lot of power to the teams and to the individuals to define their work-life balance. we try to give them a lot of power, even in defining the deadlines and have sort of this kind of very transparent back and forth. So what are the implications? Why this and what that? And I think also this is the right approach, because then when you do have a crisis, and we do have crises from time to time, because that's the nature of things. It is legitimate to ask people to invest more for a certain spike, right? Because this is a spike; it is not the regular set of things. So, for example, I always try to be at home for dinner with my kids, and it's true that afterwards at night, it's like 9:30, 10 p.m. I have my calls with the US and stuff like that, and that's part of my responsibility as a CEO. But I managed to find a sort of a regime that works for me, and we try to help everyone to get to that same balance as well.
Fantastic. Couple of final questions for you, Eran. Can you share something from your childhood that may have influenced your work ethic in later life?
I guess when I was growing up, I was all about physics, and from basically when I was 10 years old all the way to 30 years old, pretty much everything I did was just about physics. So what I got from that was really the ability to dive into a certain area and model it, and I had this kind of muscle to model things even when I don't have all the information, or I'm not the number one expert in the field, etc. I have this almost involuntary muscle that kicks in. The other thing that comes out of it is curiosity, as being able to ask questions, and this habit of asking questions that got me certainly a nerd reputation as I was growing up and in class, etc. But I think it's proving to be quite useful and quite valuable. So, for example, when my kids come from school, instead of asking them what did they do or how did it go, I often ask them what good question they asked that day. And, that's just a thing that sticks with me.
Fantastic. And what do you think the industry now is going to look like in 5 years, and how might that impact your business model?
I think that unfortunately, quite a few things will stay the same. Actually, might get worse. I think, for example, that congestion is not going anywhere anytime soon, and that will become a huge forcing function in a lot of what we do. I think that the things that will change are basically the modernization of the transportation stack, the car and everything involved. It will be way more connected. There will be way more connected services. It will be way more about intelligence. Even before you'll drive or you'll ride an autonomous vehicle, there's so much that will happen to help you with data services, with intelligence, with getting you out of trouble. I think the other thing that will happen is the introduction more and more of multimodal into the world, right? We see it with micromobility these days, going like brush fire. I think this is a good example of how humanity is faced with a challenge and is looking to find solutions, right? So the challenge is congestion and urbanization, etc. And the solutions that we are quickly adopting are multimodal transportation. As to how it will impact my business model, it would be probably more and more about getting into the vehicles themselves and working with the vehicle OEMs, as well as getting embedded more and more into the city infrastructure, where we are aiming to build sort of like air traffic control for the city.
Brilliant. Now there's a lot of smart entrepreneurs in Israel. Are you going to be the next Waze?
I don't know. I hope that I'll be the next Mobileye. We don't know. But what we'll try to be, first of all, is the first Nexar.
Fantastic. If you had your time again and just given your 20-year-old self advice, what's now the one thing that you'd say looking back?
I think I would say just try to leverage the time that you have more efficiently. I think that we all learn that lesson as we get older and older, that time is our number one resource, basically our only resource that matters. And I think that I don't think there's a situation where people have used their time effectively and efficiently and regretted it. So I think that is the thing that I'm always looking at and obsessed about. But I don't know. I really enjoyed my 20s, so I don't have too much of comments there.
Fantastic. And look, Eran, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy day to go through this and share this with our listeners. What's the best way if people want to find out more about you, find out about the company, maybe even, as you say, have a demo online on the app or on this website? How can they reach out?
So the best way to contact me is on Twitter. I'm Eran Shir on Twitter, so easy to find me. Best way to follow Nexar and everything that we do is either get Nexar on Twitter or on any of the other social platforms. And the best way to get in the game is to just go to our website and buy a camera and join the network.
Fantastic. Eran, thanks so much for joining me, and I really wish you the best for coming up to 2020 for you and your team.
Thank you.
We really hope you enjoyed the podcast today. If you want to listen to more exclusive tips and life lessons from our guest, go to the resources page at vineresources.com.